In a reciprocating steam engine, which of the following form a kinematic link? Crankshaft and flywheel. A link or element need not to be a rigid body, but it must be resistant body. Agree. A railway bridge is an example of a mission. False. The motion between a pair when limited to definite direction irrespective of the direction. Force applied is known as completely constrained motion. The motion between pair which takes place in is known as incompletely motion more than one direction. When the connection between the elements forming a pair in a such that constrained motion is not completed by itself but by some other means, the motion is said to be is completely constrained motion. No. The example of completely constrained motion is a dash. This is the all of the above. The motion of a shaft in a circular hole is an example of incompletely constrained motion. The example of successfully constrained motion is a dash. All of this above. Which of the following statement is wrong? A vertical shaft in a footstep bearing forms a successfully constrained. When the nature of contact between the elements of pair such that it can only side relative to the other, the pair is known as sliding pair. When the nature of contact between the element of a pair is such that it can turn or revolve about a fixed axis, the pair is known as a rolling pair. This is the incorrect. When the nature of contact between the elements of a pair such that one element can turn about the other by screw threads, the pair is known as screw pair. A sliding pair has a completely constrained motion. Yes. Which of the following is an example of sliding pair? Piston and cylinder of a reciprocating steam engine. The ball and socket joint is an example of a screw pair. Disagree. Which of the following is an open pair? Ball and socket joint. The lead screw of a lathe with a nut forms a screw pair. Which of the following is a turning pair? Shaft with collars at both ends fitted into a circular hole. When the two elements of a pair have a surface contact, when relative motion takes the surface of one element slide over the surface of other, the formed is known as lower pair. The pair is known as a higher pair when the relative motion between element dash partly turning and partly sliding. Which of the following is a higher pair? Belt and pulley. When the connection between the two elements in a such that only required kinetic motion occurs is known as self-closed pair. This is the right. When the elements of pair is kept in contact by action of external force, the pair is said to be as dash force closed pair. A pair of a friction disc is an example of a rolling pair. That is the false. The lower pairs are pairs dash self-closed. The cam and followers is an example of dash higher pair. Which of the following is an example of a higher pair? This is all of this above. In automobile, steering gear is an example of a lower pair. A pair is said to be a kinematic pair if the relative motion between the completely successful constraint. This is the correct. When the two elements of a pair have when the motion is said to be a lower pair, that is a surface contact. The two elements of a pair are said to form higher pair, then they have a line or line or point contact with the motion. In a force closed pair, the two elements of a pair are not held together mechanically. This is the disagree. The two elements of a pair are said to form the when the permit relative motion. This is the kinematic pair. In an open pair, the two elements of a pair are not held together mechanically. The sliding pairs, turning pairs, and screw pairs from the lower pairs. This is true. A combination of kinematic pair joined in such a way that the relative motion between the links of completely constant is called as kinematic chain. The relation between the number of pairs forming a kinematic chain and the number of links L equal 2p minus 4. The relative motion between the links and number of joints is the kinematic chain is L is equal 2 by 3 j plus 2. The relation L is equal 2 by 3 j plus 2 apply only to kinematic chain in which lower pairs are used. This may be used to kinematic chain in which higher pairs are used, but each higher pair may take in equivalent to the two lower pairs and one additional link. The relation between the number of links and the number of binary joints of a kinematics chain having constant motion is given by j is equal 3 by 2 L minus 2. If the left hand side is the equation of the greater than the right hand side, then the chain is dash locked chain. In a kinematic chain, a quaternary joint is equivalent to dash 3 binary joints. A chain consisting of a 4 links and 4 joints is called a kinematic chain. Yes. In a steam engine, the link constitutes as a all of this above. A mechanism is an assemblage of 4 or more than 4 links. A mechanism consisting of more than 4 links is called as the compound mechanism. This is the true. A mechanism consisting of a 4 links is called as the mechanism, simple mechanism. A mechanism dash for transmitting motion can be used when a mechanism is required to transmit power to do some particular type of a work, it becomes a machine. This is the agree. When one of the links of kinematic chain is fixed, the chain is known as mechanism. A typewriter consists of a machine. This is the no. The typewriter is the mechanism. And the method of obtaining different mechanism is by fixing turn different links in the kinematic chain is known as a inversion. The number of links if the mechanism are equal to L, the number of possible inversion is equal to L. Which of the following statement is the correct regards to difference between the machinery structure? This is the all of this above. A kinematic chain is known as a mechanism when one of the links is fixed. The inversion of a mechanism is dash obtained by fixing different links in different link kinematic chain. The Grubler's creation for a determine the degrees of freedom in the mechanism having the motion. Plane motion is dash n is equal to 3 of L minus 1 minus 2j. The mechanism forms a structure when the number of degrees of freedom is equal to 1. In a 4-bar chain and quadratic cycle chain, this is each of the 4 pairs as a turning pair. That is, the quadratic cycle is nothing but as the Ackermann cycle is there. The mechanism in which 2 turning pairs and 2 are sliding pairs is called as all of this above. In coupling rod of a locomotive, each of 4 pairs is paired as a turning pair. Whitworth-Cookington mechanism consists of 3 turning pairs and 1 is the sliding pair. This is the right answer. In single slider crank chain is the 3 are turning pairs, 1 is the sliding pair. That is the right, and the Whitworth-Cookington mechanism, single slider mechanism is there. And the mechanism consisting of 3 turning pairs and 1 sliding pair is called as this all of these above. Which of the following is the inversion of a single slider crank chain? This is the all of the above. In point on a connecting link of a double slider crank mechanism traces dash. This is the elliptical path. The Whitworth-Cookington motion, the mechanism is formed by a slider crank chain will be dash. The couple link is fixed. Scotch yoke mechanism used to generate a sine function. Which of the following is the inversion of a double slider crank chain? This is all of this above. Double slider crank mechanism, the Wood-arm coupling is there, elliptical travel is there, Scotch yoke mechanism is there. Whitworth-Cookington motion, the mechanism inversion of a double slider crank chain is the correct. Rotary internal combustion engine has its gas cylinder. This is the 6 is there. A body is said to be vibrate simple harmonic motion. The acceleration proportional to the distance from the main position is the right answer. A piston and cylindrical constitution is the B. This is the sliding pair. The toothed gearing is an example of D is the higher pair. A typewriter constitution is the mechanism is there. An automobile sliding gear is an example of the lower pair. The velocity of a body moving with a simple harmonic motion in the mean position is the maximum. The maximum displacement of a body from its mean position is called amplitude. This is the right. The frequency of vibration is usually expressed as the number of cycles per second. The amplitude of a vibration is always the radius of circle is the equal to. The time taken of a particular one complete oscillation is known as the periodic time. This is the agree. The periodic time is given by dash 2 pi by omega. When a body moves with a simple harmonic motion, the product of periodic time and frequency is equal to 1. The acceleration of the particle moving in the simple harmonic motion as the mean position is 0. The velocity of particles moving with a simple harmonic motion at any instant given by the omega r square minus x square. The acceleration of a particle moving with a simple harmonic motion by any instant given by this is omega square x. The maximum velocity in a particle moving with a simple harmonic motion is the wr omega r. When a particle moves around the circumference of a circle radius r w by radius, then the maximum acceleration omega square r. This is the right. One end is the helical spring is fixed while other end is carries load w which moves the simple harmonic motion. The frequency motion is given by 1 by 2 pi root of z by delta. The acceleration of a particle moving with a simple harmonic motion inversely proportional to the displacement of the particle from the mean position is no. The periodic time of one oscillation for a simple pendulum is 2 pi root of L by Z. In order to double the period of simple pendulum, the length of the string should be dash quadrupled. When a rigid body is suspended vertically and is oscillates with a small amplitude and action of force of gravity, the body is known as compound pendulum. The frequency of oscillation of a compound pendulum is 1 by 2 pi gz root of gz by kg square plus h square. The equivalent length of a simple pendulum which gives the same frequency as a compound pendulum is kg square plus h square by h. The center of precession is below the center of gravity of the body is a distance equal to k square g by h. The frequency of oscillation of a torsional pendulum r by 2 pi k root of z by l. The equivalent length of a simple pendulum depends upon the distance between the point of the suspension and the center of gravity is true. Which of the following statement is correct? The periodic time for a particular moving with a simple harmonic motion time taken by particularly one complete oscillation. The periodic time of compound pendulum is when the distance between the point of suspension and center of gravity is equal to radius of gyration. The body about center of gravity is the minimum. In a simple harmonic motion, the velocity vector and respect to the displacement vector is the lags by 90 degrees. The minimum periodic time of a compound pendulum 2 pi root of k 2 k z by g. The distance between the center of suspension and the center of precession is equal to the equivalent length of a simple pendulum is the degree. The center of suspension and center of precession is not interchangeable. Dash is incorrect. When a body is suspended, the point of suspension, its periodic time and frequency will be as compared to the body suspended at a point of precession. This is the same. A bifilar suspension method is used to find this is the moment of inertia of the body. The total number of instantaneous center for a mechanism consisting of n links is the n is there. According to the Kennedys theorem, the three bodies moves relative of each other. The instantaneous will be lies in the straight line motion is there. Which of the following property the instantaneous center of the correct is the correct is there. Correct is the next. The magnitude of the velocity of the points of a resulting is the dash inversely proportional to the distance from the point instant center and the perpendicular to the joining 2 points of instant center. A mechanism is a fixed instant center. Those which have remains the same place for all configuration of the mechanism. The instant center which moves the mechanism moves butt joints or performance are called permanent instantaneous center is the S is there. The instantaneous center which vary with the configuration of a mechanism are called dash. This is neither fixed nor permanent instantaneous center is there. When two links are connected by a pin joint, their instantaneous center lies at the pin joint. The two links are said to have a pure rolling contact when their instantaneous center is their point of contact is the lies. When a slider moves on a fixed link having their instantaneous center of infinity, this is a straight force. When slider moves a fixed link having a curved surface, the instantaneous center is at the center of curvature. A slider moving on a fixed link having a constant radius curvature will have a instantaneous center at the center of the cycle is the agree. The instantaneous center of a rigid thin disk rolling on a plane rigid surface is located at the point of contact. The relative velocity b with respect to a rigid link AB is the perpendicular to AB. The magnitude of linear velocity of a point B link AB relative point A W into AB. The direction of linear velocity any point on a link with respect to another point of the link. This is the perpendicular link joining points. The two links OA and OB connected by a pin joints O link a turn with as velocity W radians per second. The clockwise direction of the link OB turns angular velocity W radians per second. The anti-clockwise direction the rubbling velocity at a point joint O is the W1 plus W2. This is the R. The above equation, the both links OA and OB turns clockwise direction. The rubbing velocity of the pin joint is OA W1 minus W2 R. And again, a thin circular disc near rolling with a uniform near speed along a straight path on a plane surface. Which of the following statement is correct is the regard. The center of the disc has zero acceleration. The component of acceleration parallel to the velocity of the particle given is called dash tangential component. The component of a acceleration and perpendicular velocity in a particle that instant is called as radial component. A point B on a rigid link AB moves with respect to angular velocity omega, then the total acceleration of B with respect to A will be equal to vector sum of radial component and tangential component. The acceleration of a particle by instant has two components, radial component, tangential component. These two components will be dash perpendicular to each other. A point on a rigid link AB moves with respect to with a velocity radial component of acceleration B with respect to this is the v square by a point B on a rigid link AB moves with respect to a angular velocity W radian for the angular acceleration of the link AB is the alpha t BA by AB. The center of gravity coupler link in a 4-bar mechanism will experience both linear and angular acceleration. When a point moves along straight line, its acceleration will have tangential and component only. When point and the link moves with a constant angular velocity, acceleration of radial component only. In shaper mechanism, the correlate component of acceleration does not exist. This is the false information. The tangential component of acceleration, the slider with respect to the coincidence point of the link called correlate component of acceleration is agree. The correlate component of acceleration acts as perpendicular to the sliding surface. The correlate component of acceleration is taken into the from account. This is the quick return motion mechanism. The correlate component of acceleration depends upon this is the both A and B. A body motion will subjected to correlate acceleration when the body is restrained, it rotated while sliding over another body. A slider moves a velocity v on a link revolving at omega radian per second. The correlate component of the acceleration is the 2 omega v. The correlate component of acceleration leads the sliding velocity by dash 90 degrees. The sense of correlate component 2 wv is the same as the relative velocity. The vector is rotated as 90 degrees in the direction of rotation of the link containing the depth. The correlate component of acceleration exists whenever a point moves along a path that is the rotational motion. A pantograph all the ways this is the turning pace. A pantograph all the pairs this is the turning pace. Which of the following mechanism made up of turning pair? Pistillary mechanism. The hot mechanism is there. Squatter is a mechanism made up of sliding pair. This is the correct. An exact straight line motion mechanism is all of this above. Which of the following mechanism approximate straight line motion mechanism? All of this above. The fundamental equation for a correct steering is cot t pi minus cot alpha equals c by b. The condition for correct steering of a device steering gear is tan alpha equals c by 2b. The ratio of velocity of a shaft connected by Hooke's joint is given by n by n1 1 minus cos square theta sin square alpha by cos alpha. The driving and driven shafts connected by a Hooke's joint will have equal speed shift dash tan theta equal to plus or minus root of cos alpha. The increment steering gear mechanism is preferred to the device steering gear mechanism because dash both A and B. The power from the engine to the air axle. The power from the engine to the rear axle and automobile transmitted by means of Hooke's joint. Force acting in the opposite direction to the motion of the body is called force of fraction is true. The maximum frictional force which comes into play when the body just beginning to slide over the surface of the other body is known as limiting friction. The friction experienced by a body when at rest is known as static friction. Yes, the dynamic friction is the friction experienced by the body when the body in motion. The static friction, all of the above. Which of the following statement to regards law governing the friction between the dry saturated force is correct? All of this above. The inclined plane at which the body just begins slide down the plane is called the helix angle is the wrong. The angle which the normal reaction makes with the resultant reaction is called as the action agree. The angle of inclination of a plane at which the body begins move down the plane is called angle of repose. The minimum force required to slide body a weight W on a rough horizontal plane is W sin theta. A body will begin move down inclined plane if the angle is the inclination of the plane of the angle one. This is the greater than. A body weight W is required to move the rough inclined plane whose angle of inclination with the horizontal is alpha. Effort parallel plane will be dash P is equal to W sin alpha plus mu cos alpha. The coefficient of friction is the ratio of limiting friction, the normal reaction between the two bodies. This is the correct. In a screw jack, the effort required to lift the W given by this is P is equal to W tan of alpha plus pi. In a screw jack, effort required to the W is given by P equal to W tan of alpha plus pi. In a screw jack, effort required lower the W is given by P is equal to W tan of pi minus alpha. The frictional force torque for square thread the mean radius while raising W is given by T is equal to W r tan of pi plus alpha. The efficiency of screw jack is given by tan alpha by tan of alpha plus pi. The load cup of a screw jack is made separate from the head of a spindle is dash. Prevent the rotation of being is lifted. The efficiency of a screw jack has maximum when dash alpha is equal to 45 minus pi by 2. The maximum efficiency of a screw jack is 1 minus sin pi by 1 plus sin pi. In considering a friction of V thread, the virtual coefficient of friction is given by mu by cos beta. The efficiency of screw jack depending upon the load raised or lowered. This is the false. Friction circle drawn when a journal rotates. The bearing is radius depends upon the coefficient of friction and the dash radius of journal. The radius of friction circle for a shaft rotating inside the bearing is the r sin pi. The velocity of rubbing surface with the distance from the axis of the bearing, this is the increases. The wear of bearing is proportional to the velocity and pressure, this is the S. The frictional power torque transmitted in a flat pivot bearing considering the uniform pressure 2 by 3 mu WR. The frictional torque transmitted in a flat pivot bearing considering a uniform wear is 1 by 2 mu WR. The frictional torque transmitted in a flat pivot bearing with the assumption of uniform pressure is compared to the uniform wear more. The frictional torque transmitted in a flat collar bearing considering the uniform pressure is dash 2 by 3 mu W R1 cube minus R2 cube by R1 square minus R2 square. In a flat collar pivot bearing, the moment due to friction is proportional to R1 cube minus R2 cube by R1 square minus R2 square. The frictional torque transmitted in a flat collar bearing considering the uniform bear is dash 1 by 2 mu W R1 plus R2. The frictional torque transmitted in a multi-collar shaft in the same that of the smaller bearing is the right. Which of the following statement holds good for a multi-collar thrust bearing carrying for the thrust W units? The friction moment is independent of the number of collars. The frictional torque transmitted in a conical pivot bearing considering the uniform pressure is 2 by 3 mu WR cosec alpha. The frictional torque transmitted in a conical pivot bearing considering the uniform bear is that 1 by 2 mu WR cosec alpha. The frictional torque transmitted in a conical pivot bearing with the assumption of uniform pressure is dash compared to the uniform bear, this is the more. The frictional torque transmitted in a truncated conical pivot bearing considering the uniform pressure is dash 2 by 3 mu W cosec alpha R1 cube minus R2 cube by R1 square minus R2 square. The frictional torque transmitted in a truncated conical pivot bearing considering a uniform bear is dash 1 by 2 mu W cosec alpha R1 plus R2. In a railway axle boxes, the bearing used in a double row spherical roller bearing. The frictional torque transmitted by a disc or plate clutch is the same as that of flat collar bearing. In a disc clutch, if there are n number of discs, their driving shaft n2 number of disc driven shaft, the number of pairs contact surface will be n1 plus n2 minus 1. The uniform pressure theory gives a higher frictional torque than the uniform bear theory. This is the agree. The frictional torque transmitted by a cone clutch in the same that of the dash turned conical pivot bearing. When the two pulleys are connected by a means of open belt drive, then both pulley will rotate opposite direction. This is wrong. When two pulleys are connected by a means cross belt drive, then both the pulleys will be rotated in the direction. This is the opposite. Two pulleys in the radial R1 and R2 distance x are connected by means of the open belt drive. In the length of the belt is pi of R1 plus R2 plus R1 minus R2 square by x plus 2x. The two pulleys of a radius R1 and R2 distance x are connected by the means of cross belt drive. The length of the belt is pi of R1 plus R2 plus R1 plus R2 whole square by x plus 2x. In a cone pulley, if the sum of radii of a pulley and the driven shaft is constant, then that is the crossed belt drive is recommended. Due to slip belt, the velocity ratio of the belt drive increases. This is the no. When two pulleys different diameters are connected by means of a open belt, an angle of contact at the pulley must be taken into consideration smaller. The power transmitted by a belt maximum when the maximum tension in that belt of the centrifugal tension, this is the 3 times. The velocity of the belt maximum power is dash root of T by 3m. The centrifugal tension on the belt has no effect on the power transmitted, correct. V belts are usually used for short drives. In a multiple V belt drives of one of the belt is broken, we should replace all the belts. The inclined angle for V belt is usually 30 to 40 degrees. In order to have a good grip on the pulley, V belt should have touched the bottom of the gear. At the pulley is the false information. In a multi V belt drive with having a single belt damage, it is preferable change the complete set to dash. Enzo uniform loading. In a multiple V belt drive, all belts should stretch at the same rate. Disagree. The ratio of the driving tension for a V belt times that of the flat belt is the cosec beta. The ratio of driving tensions for your rope drive is same as that V belt drive. Yes, creeping the belt drive is due to dash, uneven extension, and the centrifugal tension in a belt have no effect on the power transmitted. When the belt is stationary, it is subjected to a sum of tension is known as initial tension. The value of the tension is equal to the average tension of the tight side and slack side of the belt. The two parallel and coplanar shafts are connected by gears having teeth parallel to the same of the shaft. The arrangement is known as spur gearing. The arrangement is called bevel gearing when two are connected by gears is intersecting and coplanar shaft. When two non-intersecting and non-coplanar shafts are connected, gears arranged and the known as vertical gearing is the